As soon as spring hits in Florida, beachgoers head for the coast to work on their tans. Race fans make their way to Sebring and the legendary, bumpy former World War II air base, now known as Sebring International Raceway. Hi everybody, Ralph Shaheen joining you. Let's show you exactly where Sebring International Raceway sits here in the Sunshine State. Smack dab in the middle. This area known for the orange groves. And for 17 turns around this historic military base, named after some of the most famous racers in the business, like Dan Gurney and Juan Manuel Fangio. Here's where some of the trouble spots can be. Turn 1, Turn 7, and of course, Sunset Bend down there in Turn 17. As tricky as those corners might be, it's really the racing service here that can wreak havoc on the drivers and most certainly the race cars themselves. And that's why this racetrack is packed with the fans as we get ready for the season opening round of the IMSA Prototype Challenge powered by Mazda. As the cars roll off the grid, let's take a look at the weather here today in Sebring, Florida. 63 degrees, no real wind to speak of, and light cloud cover over the brilliant sunshine. As you can see, two different categories of cars competing on the racetrack at the same time here today. The closed cockpit LMP3 machines and the open cockpit Mazda-powered machines. Now, outside of how they look, here's also how you can tell the difference. The number panels are different in color between the two different categories. The closed cockpit LMP3 machines, powered by a 5-liter, 420 horsepower V8 engine. The open cockpit cars, Mazda powered. Both categories running on Continental tires. As the cars roll out for race 2, let's show you the highlights from round number 1, which took place earlier in the weekend. Watch this spin here. Brian Alder gets a little help. The driver out of Plain City, Ohio, spins. Now it's Stephen Dawes, who has issues, the driver out of Utica, New York. Then Jerry Kraut. Even the closed cockpit cars had their problems. He nudges up along the tire barrier. Juan Perez goes around as well in the number 71. At the end, in the prototype challenge in the closed cockpit cars, it was Nicolas Jamin taking the win. And in the open cockpit cars, Kyle Mason won that category in the MPC class for Performance Tech Motorsports. When we come back, we'll throw the green for round number 2 as we kick off the 2017 title chase. Welcome back to Sebring, Florida. Cars out warming up the tires, those Continental tires, ready to go racing, tucked in behind our Mazda MX-5 pace car. Making their way around, you can see the lights are off on the roof of the pace car. That means we're going to be seeing the green here, and we'll be joined by Jim Roller, Shea Adam, and Sean Rahal for the call of our 45-minute timed race here this afternoon. Let's show you our starting grid. Nico Jamin in the IMSA Motorsports entry on the pole. Now you'll be able to tell the two different categories. The LMP3 cars will be highlighted in red, and of course the MPC category in blue. And you'll notice there's not a whole lot of speed differential between the two categories. All the cars mixed in, they're tight amongst each other. It's not like one category that much faster or quicker than the other. The big question is going to be, how will they survive on this very bumpy, rough Sebring International Raceway? This is not a racetrack that sees new pavement. They've been racing here since 1950, and that's just the way everybody likes it. Good, rough, and bumpy. Real challenge for the manufacturers, the engineers, and certainly the drivers. How will it play out here today? Round 2 set to get underway. Let's go to Jim Roller and the gang in the booth for the call.
Onto the front straightaway they come, and round 2 of the IMSA Prototype Challenge Series presented by Mazda is underway. And as we saw yesterday, 3 cars battling for the lead going into turn number 1 this time. Colin Thompson has a much better start, Shay. Yesterday at this point, he was dropping back. Today, he slots into second. He
is somebody who will be on a rampage for today's race. Yesterday, he showed so much potential coming into the start of that race in his Norma LMP3 car. He's the only one in the field racing on that chassis. He looked so strong, and then it all went horribly wrong. So Colin wants nothing more than to finish this race on the top step.
9 Ligers are in this race. 1 Norma being driven by Colin Thompson. We've got 1 Ave Riley currently in 11th position. That's Paul Fix. And then Wilzig in the Ginetta at the tail end of the field. So Colin Thompson looking to have an improvement from series round 1. He is currently trying to chase down our leader, Nico Jamin, who, Sean, yesterday, he took off at the drop of the green flag, and he's looking like he's trying to do the same thing today.
Yeah, Nico's been a massive talent in Mazda Road Indy, and I always love when he comes over for the 12-hour Sebring. I think he did this race a couple of years ago as well in the Prototype Lights car, and, you know, massive talent. But, you know, Colin Thompson's done an awesome job. He's actually done an awesome job all weekend in the LMPC class in the WeatherTech, pulling double duty.
Robert Masson goes around at turn 11 complex.
And that's where we saw yesterday. He had a great battle with Dave House all race long, as he just got a little over ambitious there, I think, on his break point and locked up the rears. But he and Dave House were just going back and forth. And I know, Jim, you're really hoping that we get more of that today.
That's probably the worst feeling in the world when you get in there that deep and realize there's no room, isn't it?
Yeah, it almost happened this morning with 2 GTs, so it's not comfortable, and it's a very tight braking zone.
See the number 44, that's the red Ave Riley of Paul Fix making a move. He is passing the number 22, Ryan Alder. He's an MPC competitor, 3rd place in the MPC class. That will move Fix up to 9th overall, 7th in class, as now we've got Lonnie Pechnik also making a move. He's trying to keep up with the 3 LMP3 cars that are leading him. He's leading the Masters category. That's yet another subcategory for drivers more closer to my vintage than these 2 youngsters that I'm getting to spend the next 40 minutes with.
Well, and we should say the LMP3 category is the overall one. That's the one that should be on the top of the podium. Kyle Masson, if he has anything to do with it, though, he's going to take that Mazda Prototype Challenge class and move it up a bit further. Those cars are proven. They're not new. We know how to handle them. Those are the cars that you won the championship in, Sean. You're familiar with the way that they handle. And then there's the Masters class. For if you are of a certain age, you are automatically placed into that level of the category. So 3 podiums, even though we only have 2 classes here on the racetrack today. There's not quite a trophy for everybody, though. You got to earn it.
Yeah, you know, John Falb's won it, I think, past 2014 and 2015. He won the Master Championship. Now he's actually graduated to run European Le Mans Series and the LMP3 cars over there. So the ladder system has definitely worked, as we've seen with Kenton Koch and Tristan Nunez and myself. And, you know, it's just an awesome series.
Well, and you've got experience in both kinds of cars that are out on the track right now. Which would you rather be in for this race around Sebring?
I don't know. I'm biased because I love both of them in their own way. You know, I'm a driver, so I like going fast than anything. But, you know, the IMSA Lights, or the Mazda Prototype Challenge, is definitely a really fun car here in like turn 1 and 17 because it's so light and nimble. But at the same time, the LMP3 car is really actually fun in 3 and 5. When I tested it here, it's probably faster than an LMP2 car through the 3 and 5 section. The way it's still more nimble than a P2 car in the really, really tight stuff. So, you know, I'm biased. I'd drive either if you gave me a chance.
There you see our top 4 cars: Linus Stern, Jamin, Thompson, Gutierrez, and Lonnie Pechnik, chased by Kyle Masson. And then the last car in that line is Naj Hussain, who finished 4th yesterday. So everybody pretty much in the same position as they were in race 1. There's Chris Wright in the red and black number 7. He finished 2nd yesterday in round 1 to Kyle Masson.
And his first venture in these cars, his first racing weekend here. He's got a lot of experience on this circuit, though. He ran the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, which is another one of the IMSA subdivisions last year. 2 impressive results here at Sebring. That was his best finish of the year, actually. So clearly, these bumps he really enjoys.
welcome back to Sebring, which is located here on the old side of the Hendricks Army Airfield. It was a training base for the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, which beat up these runways, made them very bumpy. And Jim Roller, as you know, it's rough on the cars and drivers.
There you see that LMP3 Norma going over those bumps at the exit of turn 17. You see all three cars riding over the bumps here on the front straightaway. Is that enough to rattle your teeth, or does the suspension just make those bumps look a little bit worse than they actually are?
Yeah, it's enough to rattle your teeth, and it's interesting here always being at Sebring because you have to just ride heights and not run what you really want to run for the infield, just to make sure you don't bottom up and tear up the floor of the car.
Nico Jamin does the fastest overall lap. He responded to Colin Thompson by taking about half a second out of his quick lap, but Andres Gutierrez is learning quickly, and he's only about a 10th off of the best lap of Nico Jamin. And yesterday, Andres looked really strong, but he used up his Continental tires pretty early on in the race. I wonder if maybe he's learned from that.
Could be. He's letting Colin Thompson give chase. Also on the racetrack, we've got Paul Fix in the number 44 and Doug Peterson in the number 87. That's the kind of soft yellow car, second in line as they go into the hairpin. Doug had a great run yesterday and has had a very good weekend, actually going 5th fastest in one of the sessions. So he's gotten quite comfortable with these prototypes, and now he's giving Fix everything he can handle as they head to the backside of the racetrack.
And those two know each other very well. They have been racing against each other for many years now in many different varieties of cars. They know each other's style. They know the weaknesses. And right now, Doug is sizing up Paul. But Paul Fix, I was talking a little bit earlier with his wife, Lauren, who said that they are grateful to finish the race. This learning process of bringing a new car from nothing into racing has been very challenging for everybody across the board. But with that Ave Riley, they've had some troubles, as you would expect. She said yesterday, just finishing the race, they were all celebrating as if they'd won.
And then right behind them, there's also another great battle between the number 72, Tavio Otis, and Gary Gibson. That's an MPC battle. Gibson in the red and black number 13. Tavio Otis in the more yellow trimmed car. And they are both chasing Brian Alter.
And Brian is a champion in this series in form of what it used to be in the lighter cars, the L2. They ran a slightly toned back engine from what was in the L1 car, which is now the MPC. He won the championship there a couple years running and then made the move up last year into the big series. So he's just carrying momentum forward, but he's somebody who we're used to seeing toward the top of the chart. So for Brian, yesterday, a frustrating race, getting taken out pretty early on. Had to climb his way back up effectively to where he started. Today, he's going to have fire in his belly as well.
That Fix and Peterson battle is about to become a Hodes Fix-Peterson battle as the two of them are kind of pushing each other up towards the number 51 car. That's the black and yellow car that is leading the duo of 44 and 87. Rob Hodes just going through the hairpin there and heading towards the Fangio chicane.
Brian Alder not letting them get away either, though. Through the twisty bits, as you like to call it, the MPC car should be stronger because it is lighter and more nimble, but those big P3 cars, they should be able to pull away once we get towards 16 into 17.
The bumps definitely have another element to play in it, with the MPC being stronger here than maybe other tracks, just because it's lighter and more nimble. It's able to take the bumps, comply a little bit better, but you'll see in the same kind of turns without bumps, the actual LMP3 car could probably be a little bit closer. So the season's definitely going to be interesting.
These guys get the Lime Rock, it could be really fun.
I want to go watch.
You don't want to drive there?
I'd like to drive if someone has a drive, but I think I might even go there just to watch.
There you go.
Nico Jamin just did 2 laps back-to-back where he was the fastest car on track and the fastest time that we have seen so far in the race. 1:58.574 for the Frenchman who now lives in Florida. The next quickest time is 1.2 seconds slower. So Nico Jamin is saying, see you guys, have fun back there.
Yeah, and Gutierrez is definitely pulling the gap and trying to chase down Colin Thompson right now as we speak. It's just a couple tenths quicker every lap, but you know, it's a long race, so we got 34 minutes left.
Round 2 of the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda. We've got less than 35 minutes to go, and Nico Jamin continues to lead. Battle for second place now on the racetrack in this series round 2 for the IMSA Prototype Challenge Cars LMP3 category. That's Colin Thompson in the number 14 battling with Andres Gutierrez for second position. And he just took a try there, but didn't quite have enough under braking, did he?
Yeah, you see Gutierrez is looking, but Colin's being pretty defensive right now and holding his own and getting good exits, so it's going to be tough to pass that Norma.
Colin just slightly missed his braking point going into turn 7, and that's what gave Andres a smell of blood in the water. And ever since then, he has been on the tail of Colin. But as you said, Thompson is a very defensive driver. He will not want to give up that second position, especially knowing that he would then have to pass by not one Ligier, but 2.
No, he's very heads up, and you can obviously see that the way he's driving. And you can make a mistake at the apex, but he knows to woe Gutierrez up, get the car returned, and get a good exit. Then that's a good way of defending.
Gutierrez getting a pretty good run through 17. He didn't quite. He missed a couple of the bumps, and he's a little bit closer now as they go past the start-finish line. Just half a second behind. Our race leader continues to be Nico Jamin in the number 20 car, as he's now pulled out a full 6 seconds over this second place battle, which is now, spinner, that's the number 7, Chris Wright. That's a tough break for him. Looks like he's gone off
17.
17, yeah, he's, the entrance to 17. So he is actually almost gone straight and is now going wide. He's obviously got some sort of issue. Looks like it might be perhaps a flat. He's got to get back across the racetrack. And he, he's way off. Yeah, I suspect his that rear suspension look askew there.
It does, and those Continental tires that he had on the car, almost as if he was doing a burnout there, unintentionally, doing donuts in 17. They won't have much usable rubber left on them, as he has made his way onto the pit lane. What a shame for the youngster from Pennsylvania to come in and have such a strong race yesterday, and today probably is going to finish on the pit lane.
Yeah, there's no pit stops in this race. These sprint races, 45 minutes, you make a call to the pits, it's because you've got a problem, and that undoubtedly puts a damper on your day. It doesn't mean he's done completely, but certainly takes away any opportunity for a class podium finish. He'll get some more testing laps in probably if the car is able to continue, but his race, for all intents and purposes, is done.
Racing here today in the brilliant sunshine at Sebring. First race held here New Year's Eve, 1950. Some good battles today, Jim.
Joel Janko has gotten by in the number 25 car, has gotten by Paul Fix in the number 44 Ave. So that's how that all shook out as we were watching the number 14 of Colin Thompson in the Norma and the Ligier number 12 of Andres Gutierrez continue to duke it out for second place. Meantime, Nico Jamin has run off and hit again. 7 seconds is now the lead.
58.5 in race term is very fast. It's very impressive.
That is his best lap.
And our best lap time from our MPC leader, that continues to be Kyle Masson. I feel like that's something we'll be saying all year, Jim. He is now down just at the 2-minute mark, but every single time he has gone through for the last 6 laps, he's put in his personal best time. So he is now checking out as well. Brian Alder up into second after that trouble for the number 7 car. Brian now has to get around 2 Ligiers. Doug Peterson and Naj Hussein will not be easy for him to get past, though.
And now work continues on the 7 car. Looks like they are going to check things in the right front suspension. Yep, I bet he's got a A-arm or something.
So you're watching this battle heat up. It looks like whoever can have a flawless, the least amount of mistakes. They're really, really close, Colin Thompson and Gutierrez. I mean, you watch them, and Gutierrez gains him a little bit there, and then Colin pulls him a little bit in the next corner, and it's really heating up.
Would you rather be the chaser or the chasee?
Sebring's a really tough place to pass, especially when you have 2 really talented drivers. So I'd rather be in the lead, kind of controlling my race, and But, you know, the Gutierrez family, it's a very talented brother, Jose, that's in LMP2 now. I drove with him last year. Very talented family, and they're not going to let Colin have an easy day.
And cousin had an award.
Yeah, it's just a family of winners.
Yeah, exactly.
Family of winners.
Oh, front end washing out there. That's what we saw yesterday. We saw first Gutierrez had trouble keeping the front end in line, and then late in the race, he was literally driving that thing like a sprint car around a couple of these corners, fully hanging that back end out, full opposite lock to keep it under control. So looks like he might be in the same situation. Oh, tough break.
That's the Ginetta of Alan Wilzig being lapped by second and third place. Colin Thompson made it through pretty cleanly, but Andres Gutierrez, he got blocked quite badly.
Yeah, they got to be more heads up than that when they're a lap car. You know, their team needs to be on the radio letting them know.
How important is it to pay attention to the blue flags when you are that lapped car? I know that that's the last thing in the world a racing driver wants to do is let somebody past.
It's very crucial, and not just from a standpoint of racing, but from safety. You know, like Wilzig would have made the wrong move right there. You could have ended up both of them in the wall, and someone could have got hurt. You know, this is, you know, the Ligiers, I mean, all these race cars are very safe these days, but, you know, from a form of safety and as a driver, I've reached that, you know, you got to be heads up. You got to be on it. You got to obey, you know. They're there for a reason. They're not there because, I don't know.
They're not yet.
Because we like the color blue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Give the corner workers something to do.
I don't even like baby blue.
Spoken like a true Duke fan. So that has allowed Colin Thompson to get away. It was a 0.4 of a second margin. Now it's 1.5 seconds. So that's a good break for Thompson. We'll see if Gutierrez can reel him back in as Lonnie Penchnick now goes around Alan Wilzig in fourth place. So the top four cars have all started to lap slower traffic. Next up will be Kyle Masson to go through. There goes Kyle.
Ooh.
On the inside, a little bit. It's not as close as it looked, but that camera angle made it look like that was a little closer than it was. But certainly, you got to be careful when you're going through. In fact, we saw that in round one. Nico Jamin late in the race made a pass on a slower driver that. Probably he might have been advised to weigh in a 9-second lead. He might have been advised to wait a little bit longer, be a little bit more patient, but that's hard to do.
Now, I know traffic is playing a part in this, but the gap between first and second has come down by a second since Colin Thompson has been able to shake Andres Gutierrez with the assistance of the lap car.
Oh, and, trouble. That's the,
not
I
again.
think that's the 25 car.
Yep. That's
second time this weekend. Joel Jenko has had a problem. Yesterday he didn't. He just had a mechanical issue and pulled off the racetrack. In this case, he has nosed in. That looks like the exit of 17.
Yep.
Indeed, he's gone. No, the entrance is 17, and he. Ooh. Wow.
Hope he's okay after that.
Just totally missed the corner and went straight into the tire wall.
Gosh, and that's one that you're going to see coming the whole way in. You're going to be staring out the window going, tires, 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 tires. The door is open on the number 25, though, on that Ligier. And the safety team has gotten to Joel, a man with a great deal of experience in a whole variety of cars. That was a big hit.
Yeah, he never even slowed down, did he, Sean?
That almost looked like a brake failure or something broke because, you know, Joel wouldn't go in there that hot.
No. Broken brake disc or a stuck throttle, something of that effect. Less than 25 minutes remaining now. We are under our first full course caution in round 2 of the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda.
Joel Janko, a man who is very experienced in this form of racing. He was the Masters champion in the MPC cars last year as they ran, second in 2015, but 9 podiums that year, third in 2014. Clearly consistent in these cars. And yes, new into the prototype form with the closed cockpit and all that, but a good deal of experience. He's also raced Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and he'll drive anything.
Good news, he has gotten out of the car under his own power, and he will obviously have to make a trip to the infield care center. He'll go over and get into one of the IMSA safety vehicles, and they'll hustle him off to a little bit of medical attention just to make sure. Safety precautions, all important here. The IMSA safety team, one of the best in the business.
And for Colin Thompson, This is the best news he could have gotten all day. That gap that was 6.6 seconds that he was closing down significantly, now it's gone.
Makes you wonder with that 58.5 there by Jamin if he has any tires left to fight him off.
Interesting point. Also, it's a good break for Andres Gutierrez, who was right all over Colin Thompson and then got blocked by a slower vehicle. So both of those guys, Thompson and Gutierrez, are going to be glad to see this yellow flag.
And Brian Alder, for that matter, because now he doesn't have to chase down those LMP3 cars separating himself and Kyle Masson. He's got them right in front of him. If he gets a better start than either Doug Peterson or Naj Hussain, we could have a battle for the first time in the Mazda Prototype Challenge class for the lead.
There is slower traffic between Nico Jamin and Colin Thompson. Is that the 77 car, Jacobs?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Howard Jacobs, who is
77.
He's from Fort Lauderdale, fairly new to racing, so there would need to be somebody, a little voice inside his head saying, be very aware of the cars behind you.
Yeah, they don't have time for a blue flag on a restart.
Nope.
But no, it'll be very interesting because, you know, that can go one or two ways. It can either, I mean, Jamin's obviously going to have a jump and have that car in between, which is going to be good for him. But also it's going to be interesting how Gutierrez plays this with Colin obviously having to deal with that on the start and see what kind of run he can get coming out of 17.
Also, Lonnie Pechnik behind Gutierrez. Lonnie doesn't get a little red mist.
Well, Lonnie's an experienced driver. He did many ALMS races, won a Grand Am race back in the day at Watkins Glen. He drove for teams like Flying Lizard Motorsports. I mean, this is a guy who we didn't just find off the street. He's very experienced, and he chose to come race in this series. So hopefully he's heads up enough, given all of his racing experience, and I'm sure all the times that this has been the reverse situation for him.
Oh, no, I was talking about him getting the jump, not him causing any problems for anybody. I was talking about him getting the jump on Gutierrez. That's what I meant.
So strictly problems for the podium, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So just a little over 20 and a half minutes remaining. Clean up. They're going to have to fix that tire wall. So this could take, well, actually, as I say that, they've pretty much got that bad boy back in place. They're getting ready to put the car up onto a rollback trailer and clear that out. As soon as that's done, they've got the big John Deere snatch tractor out there with the forklift on the front of it to move those tire barriers. We always wonder how they can get all this stuff done. It's easy when you got the right equipment.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's always been amazing. I had a bad wreck in 2014 from IMSA's medical standards of them checking on you, and you know, day to day. You know, I was getting calls from Lori, and you know, their procedures are so disciplined, and they've had so much experience and so much thought gone into it that, you know, makes racing, makes you feel good when you're out there in case something happens, makes you feel safe.
We'll go back to work and the green flag after these words here. Stay with us for more coverage from Sebring on FS2. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sebring, Florida, our FS2 coverage of the season opening weekend for the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda continuing.
As Janko went into turn 17 flat out, doesn't even look like he slowed down. We're speculating that perhaps a stuck throttle or a brake issue, because in real time you can see he just slams into. Tried to scrub off some speed by just throwing it a little sideways, but he might not reacted quick enough.
If you actually look, when the car got into the tire wall and the rear end came off, the rear tires were still spinning forward. So that kind of tells you that maybe it's a throttle hung up, or you know, he's stuck in sixth gear, couldn't get the downshifts done, and the transmission was, you know, anting it forward. But definitely you can tell right there that there's some kind of issue that, you know, caused Joel to have that incident. But glad he's okay.
Just under 15 minutes remaining in this race, so we are going to get a good amount of green flag time when we do get back to running.
Yeah, it looks like repairs were almost complete. As I say, the car's been taken away. There you go, pink couch. Everybody needs a pink couch to
On top of what, 12-foot scaffolding?
At least.
Brilliant.
The snatch tractor is being restationed at driver's left. So the field is still under the Mazda pace car. Lights are on. Looks like we're going to have at least one more lap under caution, and then hopefully we'll be able to get back underway. That'll mean we'll have about 10 minutes left to race. And Sean, I would think that's plenty of time to get some business done if you're Colin Thompson or Andres Gutierrez.
I'd say so. This last lap's kind of when you're waking yourself up. If you're someone like me in the car, you know, you get caution that long, and you're like, oh, well, do I need to warm my tires, or can I take a nap here? So it looks like these guys are getting ready. If you watch them, they're going to be working their tires, working their brakes. All their coaches are on the radios pushing them. You see them zigging back and forth there. And juices are flowing. The lap car is actually out of the way, so it's just going to be a straight up showdown into turn one. This is going to get interesting.
Does your coach, when you're coaching, or when you've got a crew chief or something like that, do they give you some sort of I'm not going to say words of encouragement, but is there something they can say to you to kind of get the juices flowing again when you've been out there cruising in a long caution?
I think it depends on who you got on the radio with you. You know, you have some team managers that just tell you what you need to know. You have some crew chiefs and team managers that want you to push. And, you know, like Gary Neal back in the day used to be the worst with me. And you know, he's telling me to push on the radio, and I'm coming back to him saying, I'm pushing. What do you think I'm doing? You think I'm riding? Or, I mean, like, this is no Sunday drive. This is Saturday night. We're going for it.
It's like when you watch the Formula One race. You must pass Nico. Well, no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not here to ride. I'm here to win. But you know, you have different types. Me personally, you really got to know who you're working with. You got to know your driver. You got to know that your driver needs a little pick me up, or he doesn't. You know, some drivers are best left alone, so they can be calm and kind of like, you know, have themselves composed. But you know, some drivers need that little extra push. So really identifying your driver, and I've done both. And I'll actually, when I'm coaching someone, kind of play with them in practice and see what they like. You know, I'll try one thing when they roll out of the pits. I'll try another thing the next time. That way, by the end of the first practice session, I know how we're going to attack the rest of the weekend.
Disparage their parentage, or I mean, how do you?
I mean, you can tell usually when you got a big soccer dad, you know, there, you kind of going to know that maybe the kid needs a little bit of encouragement instead of a little bit of push. Like, you can do it, buddy, because, you know, that dad's been pretty hard on him his whole life. But then you have some dads who kind of stay out of it, who, and the kid just needs a little bit of a ampage, you know, like a little bit of a, come on, it's time to do work. So, yeah, it's all about knowing your driver.
You push them until they accidentally unplug the radio, and then you know you've gone too far.
Yeah, those earplugs are real easy to unplug, and they don't usually get caught on camera. The secrets come out.
Yes,
there we go.
4 years later.
Lots of.
Mike Davies is listening to this.
That's right. That's right. Lots of insight there about soccer dads and unplugging radios. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Round two of the IMSA Prototype Challenge, presented by Mazda under its first full course caution, actually first full course caution of the season. We had no caution in series round one. Lights are out on the Mazda pace car. We will be going green this time by, and that will give us just about 10 minutes of full throttle racing, we hope. It'll stay green to the end of the race. Nico Jamin continues to lead in the number 20 Ligier. He's chased now by Colin Thompson in the Norma number 14. Andres Gutierrez in the number 12 Ligier. Lonnie Pechnik in the white number 17 is fourth, and Kyle Masson will lead them to the green flag in the MPC category as they come out of turn 17, full on the throttle. The green flag waves, and we're back underway.
And Colin Thompson there very nearly had his hands full with Andres Gutierrez as they were coming out of 17. He took a line where he would get more speed coming onto the front straight, and Andres Gutierrez took a shorter line. Colin had cut back in front of him to let him know, no, son, this is what I'm doing.
A little bit further back in the field, Doug Peterson tried to make a move on Naj Hussein. Hussein wasn't having any of that, so he remains in fifth place in the class, in the LMP3 class, in the green and black LMP3 car. Then comes Paul Fix in the red number 44, who is now trying to catch up to Peterson. They had a good battle earlier, and that battle could be rejoined as the number 72 car. That's the car that is in third place in the MPC category, Tazio Otis, and he had a good, big pile up in the hairpin.
Dave House is in there. That's Rob Hodis, and that is Alan Wilzig in the only Ginetta LMP3 car. Wilzig has gotten going again. He has some serious right rear damage. That's also the 21 Stuart Reddy involved as well.
Going through the hairpin. Oh, Wilzig gets collected by the 51, and then it's an all-skate as the MPC cars scatter to try and go around him. The only MPC car that was really caught in the middle of that was the 86 car, and then the 21, obviously, because he had some damage, might have come together with another of the MPC cars as they dove to the left to try and miss the melee that was caused when Wilzig got turned.
And Robert Masson did a good job of avoiding the accident, got off onto the grass, and then spun in reaction to what he saw. So no damage for the 11, I don't think, but there is some serious damage for Stuart Reddy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this brings out a red here and whether Colin gets one more shot at it. But you know, that car looks severely damaged. Left front suspension looks broke, and he is not moving.
But he is well off the track. He's down the escape road and yellow.
Full course yellow. I was going to say he is way off the racetrack, but safety, the discretion, the better part of valor there. So that's and that's probably the other reason.
That would have been off of Wilzig's car, the Ginetta.
Looks like a legality panel.
Well, one thing is for sure, they're all running out of time. Right now, Nico Jamin trying to sweep the weekend in LMP3. Alder trying to get his first win of the year in the MPC category. Back here at Sebring International Raceway, everybody's still lined up behind the Mazda MX-5 pace car, and the lights are still on.
Once the time runs out, it'll, I suspect we'll get the checkered flag next time by.
Yep, last lap has been declared on timing and scoring, so.
As the 21 car does go back up onto the rollback, so that yellows breed yellows, and indeed that was the case as the field got all stacked up going into the hairpin, and Alan Wilzig was turned around and caused a little jam up, and that sent the number 21 car of Reddy off after some contact as well, and he ended up stranded, so we were not able to continue with the race. So Nico Jamin looks like he's going to have a good start to his series.
And what a weekend for that young man. He was racing in St. Petersburg last weekend, got the call Monday. Hey, we need you to drive to Sebring. You're going to be racing with IMSA Motorsports in an LMP3 car. Get your helmet. Had it shipped to him from the Andretti Autosports hauler on Tuesday, was testing on Wednesday, and now has 2 race wins out of 2 races.
Yeah, he's such a nice kid. You know, I remember him in USF when I started doing a couple of Indy Lights races, I believe in 2015, and just very positive individual. And you just see a smile on his face all the time, no matter whether it's a good day or a bad day. And really happy for him. You know, also a good comeback for the second race for Colin Thompson. You know, to be able to rebound with the second place, that's pretty strong there. And Gutierrez with a double podium, racking up some points.
That's kind of the worst scenario, isn't it? What we would call a lost weekend. When you come into an event like this and you don't score points in either race, you've really, you've gonna spend the championship with one arm tied behind your back at that point. We
were in the lead here in 2013. We lost shift linkage on, I want to say with 10 minutes left, and we saw all the way back to 18th, and also had a, you know, down the road Atlanta time with me and Ryan Booth back then. So yeah, definitely scoring points here, just getting them on the table, getting the first race out of the way. You know, everyone kind of takes a deep breath, settles in for Barbara, and then they start going to work with their test plans and their new race plans after they know who they're playing with.
So what round of the championship do you start thinking about that ultimate prize?
Before testing begins. If you're me, I'm thinking...
When you sign the contract.
Yes, when the contract's signed, I don't know, I dream about it before the contract's signed. I'm a dreamer. So, yeah, it's exciting.
So in the MPC category, Kyle Masson will take his second victory of the weekend. Brian Alder gets a second place, and the final podium spot will go to Tazio Otis, who there's another driver, much like Colin Thompson, who ended up in the last 2 or 3 places. He was almost first driver out yesterday, if memory serves, and so that's a great improvement for him to come back and get a podium in Series Round 2.
And in terms of our Masters class, Lonnie Pechnik gets another win in that category, so he also goes 2 for 2. Naj Hussain will be on the second step, and Doug Peterson comes home with that 3rd place trophy.
Checkered flag waves. Series Round 2 for the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda is in the books. Why don't you give us a full rundown, Shay?
Nico Jamin in that number 20 crosses the line first, so he will win both races of the weekend. Colin Thompson on that comeback drive in the number 14, the Norma, finishes 2nd, and Andres Gutierrez 3rd in his Ligier. Then for the Masters class, Lonnie Pechnik comes home 4th overall and the Masters class win. Kyle Masson 5th overall with the Mazda Prototype Challenge win. Then in 6th is the 2nd of our Masters class contenders, Naj Hussain. Brian Alder, 2nd in the MPC category, is 7th overall. Doug Peterson, 3rd in Masters class, is 8th overall. Tazio Otis will be 4th. He's our 3rd person in Mazda. And then Jerry Kraut rounds out the top 10.
We'll come back, wrap up the weekend here from Sebring in just a minute. Back here in Sebring, Florida, where we've just completed round number 2 of the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda. 2017 season is off to full speed. Well, Nico Jamin has swept the weekend in the IMSA Motorsports Ligier JSP3. As you can see from the slow-mo shots coming from the final corner, it was a bumpy weekend, rough on the cars and the drivers. Here's how they finished. Well, as we said at the beginning of the show, too, the 2 different categories of cars equal in performance as Kyle Mason sweeps the weekend in the MPC category and finished 5th overall in today's race. There's a look all the way back through to Chris Wright, the tail end of the field, in 25th here this afternoon. Well, with 2 drivers sweeping the wins in both categories, pretty easy to guess who's probably going to be our points leader as we move on to round 3. In the LMP category, it will be Nico Jamin, who's up 8 markers on Andre Gutierrez, Pechnik right in the thick of it. And over in MPC, 10 separate Kyle Mason and Brian Alder, with Gary Gibson 12 points back in 3rd. So where exactly is the next round of competition? Just outside of downtown Birmingham, Alabama, the twisty Barber Motorsports Park. Beautiful setting for the next stop of the Prototype Challenge Series. That'll close things out here from Central Florida. For Jim Roller, Shay Adam, and Sean Rahal, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long for now from Sebring International Raceway.